So quite an impressive view from the portal of this abandoned mine, which is right behind me, right here. And it goes in underneath this giant hill that's in front of me. Okay, so let's check this out. Always got to be careful when I check for rattlesnakes right inside the entrances of these mines. They like to hang out in such areas, and there's a lot of timbers here, broken timbers and stuff, which makes it a more attractive place for them, but I don't see any. So we'll continue forward here. A lot of debris here right inside the portal. Looks like up here, right here, there's some old wheels. And this right here might have been maybe a homemade ore cart. I don't know. There's a handle on it right there. It did have a wood lining. See that? This might have been a homemade ore cart. And then you got some spools here, probably for a fuse cord. Oh no, these aren't spools. These are crushed barrels. How the heck would a metal barrel get crushed like that? Yeah, those are oil barrels. It's amazing how that got crushed. It's almost like an accordion, like a squeeze box. And then another barrel, not quite as crushed as the other one was. Just a bunch of junk. Don't normally see this much debris inside a portal, but there is in this one. Okay, we'll keep going down here. So here on the ground is a smashed metal can of Fitz-E resins. It says there that it's a liquid plastic for casting various artistic objects using crushed glass, tile, seashell, rock, and botanical items. Well, it doesn't say mining, but they must have used it when they were mining as well. Okay, let's keep going down the tunnel here. Some insulation, I guess. Okay, I think I see the end up here, or it might be a turn, but I can't tell until I get up there. That's what's tricky about these. You can never tell if it's a dead end or if there's a turn to the left or right. A lot of boulders here. This probably would have been an area that the old-time miners would have timbered because of all this collapse. You can see up here some gaps and voids where all these rocks have come down from, like right up in there. This is a pretty fractured area. So yeah, they would have timbered here normally, but whoever had this mine decided not to. Okay, so that's a little alcove off to the left. And, oh, I didn't see this here to the right. Another alcove with a bat. You got a bat in there flying around. And some timbering holding up some of these crushed, or these fractured boulders I was telling you about, all above me here. And that doesn't go anywhere. And then the tunnel ends. Got another bat right here. People seem to like the footage of the bats. That's a small one. And then here's the end. What miners call the face of the mine. And in a lot of mines, you'll see the miners' names and their dates, what year it was. There's another bat right up there. So yeah, this was a short tunnel. I think less than 100 feet. I think on this timber right here that goes into this little chamber, you can sort of see how that timber is bowing. It's bending right there in the center due to the pressure from both sides here. And I think even right down there you can see where it's starting to splinter. But yeah, it looks like that's definitely bowing downward. So, and that bat that was back there has taken up refuge again and is sleeping. Let me zoom in on him. Right there. That's a good looking bat. So as I'm making my way back out of the mine, I noticed down here in the tunnel floor, there's a gap. And that goes down at an angle, at least looks like 8 feet maybe. So I'm not sure what was going on here. The beginnings of a stope, I don't know. But that's kind of interesting. So the topographic maps indicate a shaft at this mine higher on the hillside, which is what I've just hiked up to, but it looks like there might be tunnels instead. There's a tunnel there, and maybe there's a tunnel over here to the left as well, in what looks like a pit of some sort. This may have been a shaft going down. It might have gotten filled in, but I'm going to check out this tunnel here to the right. Oh, this is a dead end. Oh, maybe not. Oh, it goes off to the right there. But straight ahead, yeah, it's a dead end. Perfect place for an animal to have a den. Okay, now this down there, I see daylight down there. Don't know if you can see that in the video. So there's another little prospect opening to the right of where I just entered this particular opening, and that's probably what that leads to. You can see the daylight. Let me zoom in there. So I'm not going to go down there. I'll go over to that prospect and check it out from above. But that obviously is a connection point. There's the daylight. So we'll check out the other tunnel here off to the left. See if that goes anywhere. Like I said, the topo map indicated a shaft. So I don't know. Sometimes the miners come along in later years and change everything, and what once was a shaft becomes obliterated. Well, coming up here, it does kind of go down almost vertical, but I can see the bottom there. So they're zooming in to this pit or shaft. Looks like it's clogged right there in the center of the frame. Right there. So I'm going to toss a rock in just to see how deep it actually is. Okay, here goes the rock. Yeah, it just stops down there. So that's just a pit, not really a shaft. So here's the perfect abandoned mine for a beginner who's new to the hobby and has no experience. Check this mine out. Here's the portal. And that's as far in as it goes. So here is a homemade bat gate made out of timbers. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this at an abandoned mine, but this opening is where we saw the daylight when I was in the tunnel right over there. when I look down to the right, you can see daylight. Okay, so this is the shaft that's indicated on the topo maps. So here's the vertical shaft, and if you look right down the hill, directly in line, down there is the waste rock pile for that first tunnel we went into. So it's in a direct line with that tunnel. And there's the old Corolla, almost got 400,000 miles on that thing. And here's looking across the valley. Pretty expansive view. And over here to the right, you got the mountains in the distance.